On the morning of November 2, 2025, the Caribbean Sea was calm and dark. In the pre-dawn hours, the sea state was a placid one, with gentle swells barely disturbing the inky surface. Aboard the USS Knights, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, the atmosphere was one of quiet professionalism. The ship, a formidable projection of American naval power, sliced through the water with a low hum, its silhouette a dark shape against the approaching dawn. The USS Knights sailed in international waters on what was, by all accounts, a standard humanitarian mission. Such operations are a cornerstone of maritime law and tradition, a duty to render aid to any vessel in distress, regardless of flag or origin. The Knights was responding to distress calls from two civilian oil tankers, the Starlight Trader and the Pacific Gull. Both had reported serious engine trouble, leaving them adrift and vulnerable in a critical shipping lane. The destroyer was moving to provide technical assistance and security, ensuring the safety of the crews and preventing a potential environmental hazard. It was a mission the US Navy had performed countless times across the globe. The ship's position was logged at 34 nautical miles off the Venezuelan coast. This was a crucial detail, placing it firmly in international waters, well outside the 12 nautical mile limit of any nation's territorial claim. The freedom of navigation in these waters is a fundamental principle of international law, one the US Navy is tasked to uphold. For the 300 sailors aboard, the day was expected to be routine, an act of professional maritime courtesy. On the bridge and in the Combat Information Center, watchstanders monitored their systems, the mood focused but relaxed. They were helpers, not aggressors, their mission defined by assistance, not conflict. But 200 miles away, in a darkened command bunker in Caracas, officials saw it differently. A single radar flash, a digital ghost appearing on a screen inside the Coastal Command Center, set off a chain of events that would shatter the morning's calm. To them, the destroyer's presence was not a gesture of aid, but a calculated provocation. Senior officers, fueled by a climate of heightened suspicion, immediately labeled the American warship an intrusion and a potential threat. Admiral Rafael Morales, a hardliner known for his aggressive posture, did not wait for clarification or diplomatic contact. He saw an opportunity to make a statement. He ordered an immediate intercept and engagement. The frigate Bolivar 213, already on patrol, got the call. The order was unequivocal, close with the American vessel and treated as a hostile target. The quiet sea was about to turn violent. The Bolivar was a $750 million warship, a modern and capable platform. Its primary armament included 20 Chinese-made C-802A anti-ship missiles, deadly sea-skimming weapons designed to fly low and fast, making them difficult to detect and intercept. With its engines pushing it to flank speed, the frigate sped to its target. Aboard the Knights, the calm was broken by a new contact on the radar, closing fast. Standard procedure kicked in. Radio calls went out on international channels in both English and Spanish. Venezuelan Navy vessel, this is USS Knights. We are operating in international waters conducting a humanitarian assistance mission. Please, state your intentions. Silence followed. The approaching vessel did not respond. The silence itself was an answer. At 4:32 a.m., the standoff turned into an attack. Without warning or negotiation, Bolivar 213 unleashed a coordinated barrage. 12 anti-ship missiles roared to life, streaking off the deck and into the Caribbean night. Designed for stealth and speed, they skimmed just 5 meters above the surface to evade radar. Each carried a 165-kilogram high-explosive warhead, catastrophic against a destroyer. This was a deliberate act of aggression. Alarms screamed, lights flashed, missiles incoming. 12 contacts at nearly 1,500 miles per hour. Commander Ethan Cole stayed calm and precise, his voice cutting through the chaos.
Orders. Activate the Aegis combat system. All batteries online. Fire control Alpha, engage.
Aegis, a computer-controlled web of sensors and interceptors, locked multiple threats simultaneously. Within 5 seconds, Knights fought back, launching interceptors and executing well-rehearsed procedures under fire. 20 SM-6 interceptors streaked upward, accelerating past Mach 3. AI-enhanced radar locked supersonic targets in under 2 seconds. The first intercept erupted just over 12 nautical miles out, a brilliant flash over the water. More detonations followed. 11 of 12 C-802A missiles were torn apart mid-air. The system worked with astonishing precision, training and technology in perfect sync, but one missile slipped through the shield. At 4:37 a.m., it slammed into the aft repair, deck near the waterline, and detonated. The blast ripped a gaping hole, shearing steel fittings, hydraulic lines, and electrical gear. Ruptured tanks ignited, a fireball over 1,400 degrees. 2 sailors suffered severe burns, 10 more were injured by debris. Damage control teams sealed the deck, flooded the area with foam, evacuated the wounded, and the Knights held power and propulsion. As the crew fought the fire, encrypted feeds reached the Pentagon and the White House by 5 a.m. Officials watched flames on a U.S. destroyer in international waters, irrefutable evidence of an unprovoked attack. General Robert Hastings, they fired on our ship without cause. This is not a mistake. This is a declaration. President Donald Trump signed an emergency order under Article 51 of the UN Charter. Restore deterrence. Codename, Operation Steel Response. The directive, firm, precise, limited, avoid escalation beyond the shore. At 5:48 a.m., encrypted orders hit USS Mason, 170 nautical miles east. Tasking, steam west at high speed, and prepare to engage. Simultaneously, 2 F-35C Lightning II jet Sir Mike's Dastorts launched, armed for long-range maritime strike. Each jet carried 6 AGM-158C LRASM missiles, stealthy, precise, and reaching hundreds of miles. Satellites confirmed Bolivar 213 withdrawing toward La Guaira, its track pinned for the inbound U.S. forces. As dawn broke over the Caribbean, the USS Mason, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, reached its designated engagement range, a precise point 38 nautical miles off the Venezuelan coast. The window of opportunity was closing. The Bolivar 213 was retreating toward the protective umbrella of shore-based air defenses, making a conventional pursuit increasingly risky. Inside the Mason's Combat Information Center, Captain Trent Mallister reviewed the tactical plot. The frigate was still a credible threat, its remaining weapon systems unknown. His orders were clear and decisive. They are still armed. We will interdict before they can rearm. The plan, codenamed Steel Response, was designed to be a textbook display of network-centric warfare, a complex trap set on the open sea. At precisely 7:18 a.m., the first phase began. 7 Tomahawk Block 5 missiles erupted from the Mason's forward vertical launch cells. Their launch was intentionally overt, bright, obvious, and deliberate. This wasn't a stealth attack, it was a calculated feint. Flying at a subsonic 550 miles per hour with a large radar cross-section, the Tomahawks were the perfect bait. They were programmed to mimic the flight profile of older, less sophisticated anti-ship missiles, a threat the Bolivar's crew was trained to counter. The goal was to trigger a predictable, doctrine-based response and exhaust the enemy's limited defensive arsenal. The trap worked flawlessly. On board the Bolivar, radar operators saw 7 inbound threats. Believing they were under a full-scale assault, the crew panicked, launching the majority of their remaining surface-to-air missiles in a desperate, uncoordinated volley. Cheers echoed through the Venezuelan frigate's operations room as their missiles met the incoming targets. They believed they had successfully defended their ship, unaware they had just spent their entire protective shield on harmless decoys, leaving themselves completely exposed. High overhead, circling unseen at 45,000 feet, 2 F-35C Lightning II fighters from Carrier Air Wing 7 had been waiting. With the trap sprung, they dropped into full stealth mode, activating MCON protocols. Heat signatures were masked, radar emissions ceased, and their weapon bays remained internal, rendering them virtually invisible to the Bolivar's sensors. Each fighter then released its payload, 6 long-range anti-ship missiles, or LRASMs. The 12 advanced missiles, now airborne, began communicating with each other, autonomously coordinating their terminal attack. They locked onto the frigate's unique thermal and electronic signature, assigning impact points to maximize damage. At 7:23 a.m., the attack was executed with devastating precision. The LRASMs descended on the Bolivar from multiple axes simultaneously, overwhelming any final desperate defense. All 12 struck home within a span of just 3.8 seconds. The bow was vaporized, followed by catastrophic hits that collapsed the flight deck and bridge. A series of final internal blasts tore open the hull deep below the waterline, sealing the vessel's fate. The frigate Bolivar 213, mortally wounded, broke in two and sank beneath the waves. By 7:30, an eerie silence had returned to the sea. The operation was over. The message had been sent. By midday, the aftermath was starkly clear. High-resolution satellite images confirmed it. The Venezuelan frigate, the Mariscal Sucre, was gone, reduced to a charred skeleton resting on the seabed 240 feet below. The ocean's surface bore the scars of the engagement. A rainbow sheen of oil and a lingering trail of debris. News of the clash spread worldwide. The black plume from the burning ship had been visible from orbit, a dramatic punctuation mark in the morning sky. International news agencies broadcast footage of Venezuelan rescue boats pulling dazed survivors from the oil-stained sea. The human cost was becoming tragically apparent. In Washington, military analysts and legal experts moved swiftly to verify the facts. They cross-referenced every available data point, radar tracks, satellite positioning, and the USS Knight's own navigation logs. The conclusion was irrefutable. The American destroyer had maintained its position 34 nautical miles offshore, well within international waters. The data left no room for doubt or debate. The economic shockwaves were immediate. Global markets dipped on the news of a direct military confrontation involving a major naval power. Oil futures surged, but the impact rippled further. Maritime insurance premiums for the Caribbean spiked overnight, and global freight companies began rerouting their vessels, adding days and millions in costs to supply chains. Commentators began calling it the shortest and potentially most consequential naval war in modern history. At 3 p.m. Eastern Time, President Trump addressed the nation from the White House. His tone was firm, his message unequivocal. America does not seek war, but we will never apologize for defending our people, our assets, and the freedom of the seas. Aboard the Knights, the focus was on recovery. The two critically injured sailors were stabilized and prepared for medical evacuation. Damage control teams, their faces etched with fatigue, began the arduous process of assessing and containing the damage. Initial estimates placed the repair costs at $28 million, a figure that would require extensive shipyard work. In the days that followed, the Caribbean became one of the most intensely monitored bodies of water on Earth. A new, heightened state of vigilance took hold. The Pentagon initiated a fleet-wide review of its rules of engagement, particularly concerning responses to unprovoked attacks in international waters. The incident became a powerful case study at naval war colleges. The lessons were clear. Relentless training and unwavering discipline saved ships. The meticulous logging of communications had been crucial, creating an undeniable record of intent. And strict adherence to maritime law had provided the unassailable foundation for America's response. A doctrine was reaffirmed: precision over brute force. The engagement demonstrated the value of controlled power, the ability to neutralize an immediate threat decisively, without triggering a wider, uncontrollable war. It was a masterclass in escalation control. History will mark November 2, 2025, as the morning when fire met discipline. It was a day when the professionalism of a single ship's crew, backed by the certainty of law and the clarity of purpose, kept civilization afloat.